Welcome guys today for our third tutorial lesson, and today we're going to talk about text editors. So we want to understand what is a text editor and how we can use a text editor and the types of text editor that we have. So first, if we start with the introduction of text editors, a definition of text editor. Text editor is a computer application that is designed to decode and encode plain text formats. Okay. So other around you might ask, what is this text editor used for, and where can I get a text editor? So a text editor is used to create, change, or edit plain text files. So in most cases, you will get most of the programmers using text editors, and in case the programmers want to write codes, they have to have text editors. These text editors help them to write codes. And if you have used something like example, you've used Microsoft Word, you've used Microsoft Excel, these are also plain areas where you can write your text. Just the same way you're writing your text on Microsoft Word, you also need a place to write text of codes. Okay, and this place, because when you're writing information, maybe a letter, and etc., you need to write it on Microsoft Word, or when you're writing things to do with tables, you need to write it on Microsoft Excel. Likewise, in coding, or when you are starting to programming, or when you want to learn about programming, or you are a programmer, you have to use what is called text editor. So some of the text editors we have, for example, we have several text editors, just like you can use Microsoft Word, Microsoft Word document, and etc. So we have several text editors. For example, we have, as you can see on your screen, we have text editors such as Atom. This is a text editor. We have Notepad++ is a text editor. We have Bracket. These are text editors. And we have SAMP. We have Visual Studio, which is a text editor, and we have Dev C++. So when you look at all these text editors, they are used to input codes in form of text. So maybe some might use, why don't we use Microsoft Word? Microsoft Word is not a text editor, so you cannot write codes on Microsoft Word. Rather, you also have a plain area where you can write your codes. For example, if you go to your computer and write Notepad and click on Notepad, it will open. Notepad is a text editor. This one here is a text editor. This is Notepad. You can also use Notepad as your text editor, which is very good, but you cannot use Microsoft Word. So I will open some of the text editors for you to see. For example, I will open Bracket. I have Bracket as a text editor. This is Bracket here. Bracket is a text editor where you can write your codes. You can write your codes. HTML. ML. So this is HTML5 I'm writing. So this is text editor that is used for writing codes, or people are doing programming can use it to write their codes. So number two, this is a text editor also called Bracket. I will open a text editor here called Visual Studio. Sorry, Visual Studio, which is a very good text editor and is the text editor that we will be using, and I love it. There are so many text editors that you can use. Not that Visual Studio is good or better than the others, but they are all containers of text or containers of codes. So you can write codes on this text editor. The other text editor I will introduce to you is also called is also called Sublime Text. Let me check if I have Sublime Text with me. I have it here. You can also decide to use Sublime Text, which is also a good text editor. Sublime Text, you can also write your codes in Sublime Text. You can see doc type, blah 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 blah. You can write codes, you can write text here. So you can also write text here. This is Sublime Text. And also let us go back to our core core text editor, which is Visual Studio. And along this project or this course, we will be using Visual Studio, which is my best. Maybe with you, you can choose any other, but they're all working the same, but the interface is what makes them different. Though Visual Studio will incorporate some of the plugins that you need, and also has a very good viewpoint whereby you are able to check on your previous project. You are able to do several things just as other text editors. So here, for this text editor, if you want to use this text editor, and just like others, first you will come to open. Let me close this. This is the way it should be. This is the plane. This is the area where you will write your codes, but still not open. So I want to open a working area. So I'll go straight to File, New Text File, or New File, or New Window, or New Window with Profile. So for us, we are going to open a new text file. Shortcut, you can click Ctrl N. So this is our first text file. So as a person who is starting to write codes, first thing you should understand when you're writing HTML, Visual Studio has so much of shortcuts, which makes you not to spend a lot of time while using it. So instead of this, I will introduce you to our Visual Studio. So when you come to this side, let me open it. You can click here and bring it out. So you can see this is our Visual Studio, and this is where some of our projects will be opened. So instead of going going back here and looking for your project, what you will just have to do, you will just come here and look at your project where you saved it here and be able to open it. So here, this is a place where you can search for your project or search for something that you want on your computer. Also, we have a source control, and we have extensions. You can also add some extensions here, which we will talk about when we're proceeding. And from that, I will just close on this, bring it back here, or bring it here. You can still play with it. Our project is untitled, so we want to title our project. But first, before we title our project, let us first create what we call a doc type. This is just a declaration. So I will come and save my project. I've done nothing, so don't worry about anything. I've done nothing. So I'll come here and save my project. Because it's the first project, I will not save, I will save as. If you are working and continue working, you can go to save as or shortcut Ctrl+S. So in this case, I will save as, since I'm saving it for the first time. So when you're saving your project, ensure you're saving it in a specific folder. In this case, I will come and save it in this folder for today. I will save it in music. I will save it and call it music project. So the folder is called music project. It is in pictures. So I will open that folder, and I will name this project or the website that I want to do, because you know, either you are creating website through your text editor, or you're creating something else. So for us, I will name it, because let's say for example we want to make a website, a music website. So maybe we want to make a music website for a musician, for a DJ, for a club, or we want to make a music website for an event. So we will come here to the file name and give it a name. Let's say for example, let's name it music. Oh, sorry, I'll come here again and save as music project. Here I will delete this one, there was a problem. I will save it, music dot html. Remember, when you are saving your project, if you are working on project music, you should rename it .html, so that the text editor knows that you want to start coding the HTML version, which I'm going to talk about after saving this. So HTML stands for hypertext markup language, which by HT stands for hypertext markup language. So we are going to write an HTML language, but we're going to create a website music. So I will go straight and save it. You can do dj.html, you can do sorry, club.html, you can do event.html, but always remember, if you are starting to use HTML, you must recognize .html, so that the browser will know that you are writing an HTML code. So I will save it, and after saving it, I want you to see here, this is known as untitled and also cancelled, to show that it is not recognized still. So in case the computer goes off, I will have to start again. So I will save it. After saving it, now you can see it is titled music.html. So before I start, now I want to start writing my HTML. So before I start writing my HTML, I have to introduce something called an HTML declaration. An HTML declaration is, this is the best part. So this is the HTML declaration. As you can see, this doc type here, we have this doc type here with an HTML declaration in this closing bracket, between the closing bracket. So when you see the HTML declaration, what does this declare? Number one, this declares that we are using HTML5. So before, if you were writing this declaration, you could have written HTML4, HTML3, HTML5, but after they realize people take a lot of time to write HTML5 and the version keeps changing every time, so they said that instead of writing that, we can write this declaration, so that the browser knows that the declaration that is being used on this text editor is HTML5. So let's go on. Number two, we have the HTML language. The HTML language that is being used here is English, also abbreviated as ENG. Okay, under the HTML declaration, HTML language, we have head. Why do we have head? And if you see on this part here, we have opening, we have this brackets. So HTML declaration only have these closing brackets, not closing brackets, but have double brackets. I also always call them twin brackets. This bracket here, this bracket here, and this bracket here. So when we come down here, we also have HTML language with single twin brackets, and I will tell you different types of brackets that we have. Number two, we have head, and if you can see this head element here, we call them elements. This is an element. So This is an HTML element also called head. This one is an HTML element called declaration element. And between head, we have so many things here. So we have meta chesed UTF-8, and we have meta name viewpoint content. So I will not talk about this because of the time limit, but I will talk about it when we are in our fourth lesson, so that you will understand why we have this UTF-8, and we have the viewpoint with the width initial scale 1.0. I will talk about the title. So when you this title element here, as you can see, we have opening. This is opening, or start element, and we have closing. We have closing brackets and opening bracket on this side. So if you're starting to write an HTML element, in some cases you will need closing bracket, opening brackets, and closing brackets. These two brackets, in the middle we have the values, the content that is within. In this case we have content document. What is this content document? In our browser, when we open our browser, or when you open any browser, you will see a title on the tab. For instance, we have this this browser here. This browser is called Brave browser. When you look on top here, we have the logo and download Sublime Text, this title. So this title, where does it reflect? When you go back here, it reflects here. So for example, let me open this, right click, go down and open in default browser. Let me open it in default browser so that we can see where this document is, because your tab will indicate this document. It is opening here. I don't want to restore. So we have music HTML here. So music HTML, then next we have documents. So let me change this name so that you can see what comes next. So let me give it music, capital caps, music, save, Control S, or you can still come here and save. So let me go back here and refresh. You can see now it's written music. This part here is called tab. These are tabs. You can open as many tabs as you want, but for this case I will not ask you to be opening tabs every now and then. When you come here, you right click this, you just go straight to your browser and refresh, and the changes will reflect here. Number two, this text editor here will help you arrange your text in order. Text editor will help you arrange your text, but now we don't call them text, we call them elements. Will allow you open your elements and also your codes. The best word to use is codes, and these codes will help you identify also how to view the best ways to check on your codes. And because we are talking about HTML element, on top here on this element you can divide it into two parts. Down here is your viewpoint, where you will be viewing what you are doing, and you can see your problems. In case there is a problem, Visual Studio will indicate them here. And number two, we have this one here. Sorry, we have this one here. Also, you can use three panels. We have panel 1, panel 2, panel 3. So I will talk about these panels when you'll be viewing what is happening on this panel. We also have panel 2. You can also drag an HTML element, an HTML project here, so that you can view it here. Also, or CSS. I will show you what CSS, I will tell you what CSS is. but in this course we are only talking about text editor. So I want to go back to my original text editor and close this. So I know now you have an overview and understanding of text editor. Let me do away with this. So from our text editor, on top here you can see this. The document is saved in local disk C in a folder called wide focus. Inside wide focus you will get picture. Inside the picture you will get a folder called music project. If you get inside music project, you will get a saved project called music.html. So let us go to pictures. Pictures here. Let us go music project. Inside the music we have music. It will not indicate .html, it will only indicate .music. As you can see here, the browser has changed. It is now giving us an icon, a logo of a browser that we are using, which is Microsoft Edge. So I hope you understand till that point, and I know now you know how to use and how to open a text editor, and where to save your project, and how to name your project before you start, and how to call a declaration. From the declaration, what I did, for me to start a declaration, I hold on shift and number 1 on your keyboard. That is it. Then I press a tab. I press on tab, and that is how I get my HTML structure plus the declaration. So thank you very much for watching this lesson 3. I hope that you get more when we're going on with the lesson. Thank you very much, and have a nice day as we jump in to our next lesson. Bye.